Hello, world, and welcome to another Webinar Wednesday. It's a pleasure to be here with you with Dr. Nur Indah Ahmad. She is calling in from Malaysia, so it is her evening. Good evening, Dr. Indah. How are you?
Good evening. So I am fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. So everybody, it's really a pleasure to be here with a friend of mine. I know Dr. Indah through MyOHUN, which is the Southeast Asia One Health University Network. She is actually the deputy director, deputy coordinator of the Malaysia One Health University Network. And we've had the pleasure of working together for the last 6-7 months or so with the One Health Workforce Next Generation project sponsored by USAID. So Dr. Indah, thank you so much for joining. But it seems like our history goes even further back from even the time that I joined the One Health Workforce Next Generation project. Could you tell me what is the story that you had to share with me and everybody from last year, I believe?
Yeah, so sure. So since the pandemic began, so all the One Health University networks were trying to encourage academics to run projects and activities to reach out to various members of the society. And I happen to be a team member of my good friend Prof. Rashid. So we work previously in rural areas to approach indigenous school children to teach about zoonotic diseases and a bit of One Health. And then during that COVID time, we were basically trying to find out a bit more like a sophisticated way in terms of trying to reach out to children, like a more systematic approach rather than just randomly go around. So we needed something to refer to. And then I happened to subscribe to the One Health Commission and One Health Social Sciences subgroup newsletter. And then pop came in one of the newsletter promoting Dr. Deborah's talk, and then I was like, oh, this is it. It's like it happened, came at the right time, and I just simply was drawn into the whole One Health lessons.com thing after that.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. So then in the end, did you teach a lesson, and what is the age group? Did you teach alone? Did you teach with a group? And where was it in Malaysia?
Okay, yeah, so we traveled up to near the Royal Belum Forest. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but it's one of the oldest forests. It's about 130 million years. So it's very remote, I would say. So you would have to travel by boat, and we stayed on a houseboat for 2 nights with a few students. So these university students, we brought in together to become basically trainers or facilitators for the program later on at the school. So the community that we approached was an indigenous group, which is the sub-ethnic was Temia. So they are basically traditional hunters and gatherers that live by the Temenggong Lake. And they don't really have access to any of the normal kids that is of their age. So we went there to look at children that were of 8 until 12 years old. So some of those, some we had a very younger ones because they were excited when they see, that we don't call outside people, but people who are not really from their area that comes in. So they get really excited and hyped. And so we went there, and then the first thing that we do was before even the university students came to the school, the first day that we reached, we stayed on the houseboat. So I basically had to teach a bit about One Health to the university students themselves, because we had students from different backgrounds. Of course, we have vet students, we've got medical students, we've got environmental health students, but we also had those who came from engineering background, economics and business studies. So it's very a mixed. They at first they were a bit gray, what's One Health, especially for the non-vet students. So I happen to use actually your One Health lessons. So for the mid-range, was it 6, 8, 8 to 10, 10 to 12? I think, yeah. So I took the 10 to 12, and then I introduced those, used those slides to the university students while on the boat. So that was really good in the sense that it kind of like, because it's an introduction, so it's always good to keep it simple. And it wasn't too childish, because it's like it's 10 to 12, so it's okay for them to, as an introduction, and they really like enjoyed it. Like the slides where you start with the trees, and then with the native wildlife species, and then it starts to change. So that really gives a good visual idea, a clear idea of what One Health is. And then the next day, they basically applied those concepts, and then to teach the 8 to 10 to 12-year-old children at the indigenous village. So they happen to like draw the mind map, and then they also like explained using your the slides that I mentioned before. Yeah, so it's easy, because one other barrier when you work with the indigenous group is that the language. Even though they may understand, we speak Malay language as a national language, but they have their because of their sub-ethnic, so they have their own dialect. For example, certain words are different, and of course, what better way to to teach and to connect visualization. So that was really great. It was really great. They enjoyed it. They understood the basic concepts that you wanted to convey. And so, yeah, I'm really thankful that I stumbled upon your website. Yeah, I really owe so much to you.
Oh my goodness, like I am so grateful for you to take it upon yourself to bring economic students and non-veterinary and non-medical students out to, as you said, indigenous communities and these lessons. I think that is when you first told me that, I was just shocked and honored that happened. So did the students who were teaching, did the university students who were teaching these lessons, did they know this other language? How was the communication with that?
So no, most of them were, all of us were like, none of us came from the indigenous ethnic background, because they make up about just 1% of the whole Malaysian population. So they're really the minority, but they're actually the early settlers. Basically, they were here before the many different races came in. So in terms of none of them knew the languages. So we communicated with using the Malay language mainly, but it might be tricky at some bits, especially if you can't use jargons or technical terms, So it took a bit of a time, but yeah, as I said before, like when you draw, when you show outside, like, and those sort of things, like, yeah, it really, and the students, with singing or drawing using colors, those stimulated its children even more. So that really, we managed to integrate part of your One Health lesson. So it has reached the one of the most remote areas in Malaysia, in Peninsular Malaysia. So yeah, you should come there one day. Yeah, I'll bring there. I'll bring you there.
I would love to go to Malaysia. I would love to go to Malaysia. That story is just so incredible. I still can't get over it. So are you a faculty member then at a university? And if so, tell me what university, if you can. And also, can you share with the listeners, how on earth did you become a faculty member there?
All right. So yeah, I'm a lecturer at the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, Universiti Putra, Malaysia. So I teach veterinary public health, and basically how did I started to end up here in academia is, I think it was back in 2007 after I graduated DVM, and I had this close relationship with my academic advisor. So she was teaching parasitology, and I was really into veterinary parasitology just because you can actually see the worms, the ectoparasites. So it's really interesting, even though for some people you go like, whoa, why are you? I mean, that sort of thing. So anyway, she said that the turn around cycle for the staffs were, they're reaching their pension age, and for some reason they need the newer generations of academics. And I happened to graduate at the right time. They offered me to become a tutor, and I continued my studies to obtain my MBSc from Utrecht University. And then I came back took a bit of a hiatus before I continued my PhD, and then came back as a lecturer. So it's just straight away on academic track. So yeah.
Holy moly, so much schooling, so much education. When you were a child, did you ever think you would be doing what you're doing now?
Yeah, so when I was a child, I thought that I would turn out to be a zoologist, because at that point I was watching so many, like Discovery Channel, National Geographic, and I guess vet emergency vets. Yeah, so I was really into it. But at that point of time, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can handle, blood taking or those kind of procedures. So I decided to like, okay, zoologist. But somehow, after high school, like I managed to score quite good marks for science, math, and then my mom said that why not like pursue medic? And I'm like, oh no, I don't want to leave behind the passion for animals, caring for animals. So combining those two, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's go for vet medicine. So I managed to get it. So yeah, so that's
Wow.
how I'm in.
Wow, incredible. And so now you teach veterinary public health, is that correct?
Sure. Correct.
So
Yeah.
what, for our audience members, what's the difference between veterinary public health and public health as you would typically hear on the news or in the newspaper?
So yeah, veterinary public health, I get this question a lot from my medic friends. So they say that why are we a bit different? So yeah, so veterinary public health, it takes into consideration like any issues or diseases that relates to between the human and also human health and animal health. So whatever, it's not just diseases. So the bonding between companionship, that is also considered as one of the angle of veterinary public health. And then the difference is that mainly obviously it needs to involve an animal, like rather, it can be from companion, from farm animals to food animals, and then from the food animal products as well, eggs, milk. So along those lines. So it's very like vast, but it needs to have that component of animal inside. And basically, when you talk about public health human, you will talk about not just infectious diseases. They can have like problems like mental health issues or non-communicable diseases, like metabolic diseases or other the obesity problems. I'm sorry, I lost that word. So it's a bit like vast, but for vet public health, it's a bit more like a specific. It needs to have involved animals, be it the benefit from companionship or that we get from food and whatnot. So the scope is a bit like focused on that. Yeah. So I'm not sure if that was clarified a lot, but yeah, the difference is like I see it. In that manner, so yeah.
Interesting. So it sounds like it's about zoonotic diseases that jump between different species, right?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
And then it sounds like it's also a bit of, is it comparative medicine that you're talking about, like one medicine, comparing and contrasting?
Comparing and contrasting with I'm sorry,
with
with
human medicine and veterinary medicine.
Oh yeah, so it could be like a subcomponent with one medicine. Comparative, you mean like, yeah, some of it, yeah, it could be, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Because I know that some viewers are, in that camp, and there are so many camps, let's say, of One Health and such. So that's really interesting. So it sounds like you are a full-time lecturer at the university teaching veterinary public health, which is incredible. You have taken it upon yourself to bring students on a houseboat many, many, many kilometers away from any major town into a forest. You said 130 million year old forest, into communities, and using some of the materials from One Health lessons, which is incredible. What's your next step? You've done so much already.
Well, my next step is to continue, because the cycle of students are coming, and you still get new students who are, probably they are there, they're interested to look into One Health, into zoonotic diseases, emerging diseases. And since we are all, Malaysia is located in one of the hotspots, they say, within the Southeast Asian region, for the upcoming emerging zoonoses, for example. So I really hope that to continue doing what I'm currently doing, and basically to expand the base to not only just to university students, but also the younger generation, especially within the rural areas and indigenous communities, because for mainstream, or part of the other society, they are exposed to such information through the TV, televisions, internet, but as for them, they're part of the society as well. They're also Malaysians. So I think we should be able to reach out to them. What more so that in the environment that they're living in, around wild animals, in that ecosystem. And they should be the one that we empower to become, to not only protect themselves, but also become protectors of the environment around them. Because considering, deforestation because of human activities, agriculture, or lodging. So those kind of things that we need to empower them with such values. So I really hope that more to come is to, to reach out to them along together with the university students. Yeah.
Your community is so lucky to have you. Wow, you're doing amazing work. So any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom for the upcoming generation of One Health leaders? Anything to impart as we say goodbye?
Okay, so I would like to say that do not afraid to pursue your passion, especially if it involves in another different field that you kind of start to doubt yourself to begin with, but just go for it. Don't afraid to be friends with people, because you would definitely be able to learn more from other people, of course, and then work together. So don't be shy about it. I'm an introvert. I'm one of the very strong characteristic of me is an introvert. So I find it, before this, it's very difficult for me to basically communicate with people from other fields, especially those who are not my colleagues or classmates. But then, there's nothing to be afraid of. So just reach out to people, and then pursue your dreams. Don't be afraid to take risks even, and then you're good to go. Trust yourself. It doesn't matter. Don't compare yourself to other people, because you're definitely going to be doing something that even if you don't see it yourself, other people will value it, will gain benefit from it. And then I guess that's for me.
That's incredible. I wish I could just have that on repeat throughout the day for me to listen to throughout the day.
For me as well.
It's been such a pleasure, Dr. Indah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Well, everybody, onwards and upwards, and I'll see you next week.